So I'm going to play the theme. We're going to go live. Here we go. All right, and we're live here once again at the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
That would make me Terrible Troy.
And that would make me Justin Beheading.
Excellent.
Most excellent.
Yes, and a big thanks to the fine folks at the Tomb of Nick Cage for the amazing theme song you just heard. And later on tonight, we will close out the show with our music of the month, the B Movie Monsters.
Nice.
So if you're interested in having your music ever on the show, just email me at withoutyourhead@gmail.com. And I know this is always lame to say, but hit that like button and hit the bell icon so you get notifications every time we're live and every time a new video comes up. And share this with your friends and your enemies over on your Facebook and your Twitter and your MySpace and all those fine places you go to. I know we're really big on the MySpace.
They love us on MySpace.
Yes.
It's all the rage.
Yeah, exactly.
All the kids love it.
Yep.
But we're here tonight now to talk about 13 Vampires.
Woo!
This is very exciting.
Is most cool.
Yes.
I had a tough time. I didn't realize I love so many vampire movies.
Yeah, there's a lot of very cool vampire movies. I have some
because I always consider myself kind of a werewolf man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had more to start with on my list of vampires.
Yeah, there was definitely no movies that I had to either rewatch or watch for the first time to make this list in comparison to the werewolf one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember when we did the home invasion, I had to go through a lot of movies I'd never seen before, which was cool because Hot Tension was one I'd never seen before, and it became one of my favorite modern horror films. All right, so we're gonna get right into these, and a big shout out, of course, to treacherous Trista, who will return at some point here with us, but she's been very busy, which is always good to see.
Yes, always good.
And
Miss you, Trista.
And Tara was going to join us tonight, but I'm not sure. I think I will say I think it was a little confusing because I'd messaged her tomorrow, but it was yesterday. So, but she saw it today, which would make it Thursday. Which my explanation, I think, further complicated things. Right?
Which is our normal night to be on.
Exactly. All right, so let's go to number 13, and we will start with Justin.
Alrighty, so my number 13 it's going to be surprising that it's this low on the list. That doesn't mean I love it any less than any other movie on this list. The original Nosferatu.
Nice.
Which I'm not going to lie, it had been maybe 20 years since I last saw it, because I went to see it at a theater in Hollywood, the $1 Million Theater, where they showed it live with an orchestra, which was a great way to revisit it. And it was also my first time seeing the color version of it, because I had only ever seen public domain black and white copies with inaccurate title cards and whatnot. So it was nice to finally see, more or less the official version of the movie as it's intended to be seen. And it's just a great classic movie with great cinematography, great shots, and that German expressionist, style to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it still holds up. 100 years, I think, was it last year? Was the 100th anniversary, or just a couple years ago anyway?
Yeah,
within the
last year,
couple years. Yeah, last year. That's pretty awesome, amazing. And I think it's one of the creepiest monsters, creepiest vampires. It may be higher on my list, and it's just an amazing film.
Yeah, I love that movie so much too. It didn't make my list, and it's a tough list. It's a tough one to fight. It juggled with my bottom two, and it lost out in the end.
That reminds me, though, I said 100 year. I actually bought. They had 100. It was limited to 100 too. It's like numbered on the thing. I have the 100th anniversary Nosferatu patch I bought at a festival, a convention last year, and I'm not put it on anything. I need to put it on something cool.
You need to get on that, man.
Yeah, exactly. I should have put on something for tonight. But as you mentioned, watching with an orchestra. I've not seen Nosferatu with an orchestra, but I saw the original the Phantom of the Opera with an orchestra, and it's a really amazing experience. If anyone out there gets a chance to watch any of the silent horror films with an orchestra,
that would be fantastic.
Oddly enough, we saw Frankenstein with an orchestra, and I didn't think it quite worked, because I don't think the people who did the music really understood the movie. Plus, it already had score and they talk in it, so it was almost competing with the movie, so it was kind of odd.
Yeah, because they put a completely different song list with it.
Yeah.
Was that because I don't think, because we saw that thing, and it also had an orchestra, but Disney's Fantasia with a live orchestra, and and they just did the actual music score, and it was too cool.
Yeah, usually.
But the Frankenstein didn't do it.
Yeah, I think those people didn't really understand the movie, unfortunately. But I remember seeing this. It was after it happened. I don't know how I missed it, but our town hall in Sandwich, Massachusetts, one year for Halloween, they showed Nosferatu with an orchestra, because the town hall originally was a theater. And I don't know how I missed it, because I'm about a mile away from there. But
yeah, we found you're 2 miles. Oh no, a mile and a half away.
All right, a mile and a half. But yeah, it's very sad. All right, my number 13 actually is a movie I had just seen recently, and that is Bliss.
Oh,
which honestly, when I went into it, I did not know it was a vampire movie, and can almost be seen. It's kind of out there that it's a vampire movie, so I don't want people. I don't want to spoil this for anybody. But going in, I really didn't know anything about it. And the reason I had watched it recently is I'd watched Bloody Christmas, and I liked that so much. So I went and I watched Joe Bego's other films, and I really fell in love with all his movies. They're all shot in film. They don't necessarily. They kind of almost in the same universe, but they're some are a little more comedic than others. Bliss is probably the least comedic of the three. It's just goes into madness. It really amps up as you watch it. Kind of starts a little slow, and it's some things about drugs, and it really just amps up into just a crazy ending of the film. I would really recommend it. I don't want to say too much about it, because it might have flew under the radar for a lot of people. It's on Shudder, I believe. So I would go check that out. Dora Madison is great in the movie. She's in all Joe Bego's films. And always
I'm gonna
plays
have
a
to
very
check that one out. I haven't seen that.
yeah, and really good actor. I like to see her in more stuff. All right, you're number 13, Troy.
My number 13, I'm kind of with Justin in this one where I can't believe this is my number 13, but it's Bela Lugosi's Dracula.
Mm.
Oh wow.
Like you would think that would be higher on the list, but it's a tough group. It's a tough room with the vampires. But Dracula, I really dig the movie, and I think for me anyway, the highlight of the movie is Dwight Fry as Renfield. He's just the best. He kind of steals the movie.
For our Halloween at our one of our local theaters, the Coolidge, they do a 12-hour. This year was a 13-hour horror movie marathon. So this year was 11 to noon the next day.
Nice.
And they always have one theme, and they tell you the two movies, and then the rest are surprises. So the theme this year was vampire films, and one of the two headliners was the original Dracula. And I hadn't actually seen it for a long time. And I agree. The Renfield, I was like, oh man, Renfield's really great. And it's a weird movie because it feels so, because it's so old, and it's one of the first like talkie horror movies. So it's a little slow in places, but the use of shadows and cinematography is just,
the atmosphere is great.
Yeah, the atmosphere of the movie is like top notch. That was a great. Actually, all the Universal monster movies, if you see on the big screen, I mean, I love them anyway. But
and that's the first of 3 Draculas on my list.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I saw it. Last time I saw it was for it would be its 90th anniversary, and it was at the New Beverly Cinema on a double feature with another vampire movie that I love, Black Sunday, Mario Bava's Black Sunday. So that was a pretty great double feature. And that was it was great to just finally see that one in the theater on film, no less.
Yeah,
that's one I've never seen on the big screen. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I would love to see it.
All
Actually, either one of those. I've never seen either one on the big screen.
Got to do it.
Yep.
There was one, I doubt it's going to make any of our list because I still don't consider it a vampire movie. But at that marathon, they included The Descent, which I think is a great movie. It's actually one of my favorite movies of the last 20 years, whatever, 4 movies.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, and the guy who runs it, Mark Anastasio, is a really cool guy. And he's had this actually at another Vampire Month series. And his idea is that it's like vampires if you take away all the supernatural elements, which I think is interesting. I don't necessarily agree, but I do think it's an interesting take on the movie.
No, definitely.
All right. So number 12, The Dirty Dozen.
He'd probably fight some people with that one.
Let's see. My number 12 is one that I grew up with, watching pretty much every time I was on cable. Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, Yahoo.
I mean, Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise's vampires. What else is there, in life? And I mean, honestly, I rewatched it for the first time in years last year in October, just because I hadn't seen it in so long. Another one that I hadn't seen in probably 20 years. And, it still holds up. I guess what got me in the mood to watch it was the fact that the show was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was planning on watching it, but because I was like, you know what? I think I'll just watch the movie. I think that's easier than just sticking it out for like a few weeks watching this show. And then that movie, just watch the movie. It still holds up.
Yeah, I love it. And I think some people kind of give it a bad rap today because it was sort of the start of the more romantic vampires. Which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing because it's kind of always been part of the Dracula lore. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's kind of weird. You said you watched the movie again because of the show. I read the book for the first time because of the show, or listened to the audiobook. And it's great. And the movie is actually very, very close to the book.
Oh yeah, yep. They do it. They do it, and it's such a bummer when the second one came out,
Yeah.
and they just pulled away from Anne Rice's stuff and
Oh,
just went crazy with that.
Nicholas Hatch is here in the chat. He says, hello, everyone. He's thrown out some. I'll tell you what,
Hello.
Nicholas, after we do our 13, you can zoom in if you'd like and throw some out that we miss. And that goes for everyone. We'll put the Zoom link in here at the end. And I'll also a shout out to the Real Badger. Hello, Real Badger. And same goes for you if you want to zoom in and yell at us or just add. And Kirsten Dunst is great in Interview with the Vampire and the
And that's where it ends. She should have just retired then.
yeah.
That's just my opinion.
and the that character in the novel. I mean, they do a good job in the book. Don't get me. I mean, in the movie, but the novel, like you really get how sad that character is, and I think some of the character is hard to do in a movie without making it too like, what am I watching here?
That's the only change that I didn't really care for with the series, because I really dug the series. But they make her probably 15, 16, which is a huge difference than being, like 7 or 8 or whatever she is in the book or the movie.
Yeah, I think she's even younger in the book than she is even in the movie.
Yeah, she probably is.
Which does make it even more tragic, because it's like she'll never get a chance to grow up. Whereas, even early teens, you're halfway there. So
yeah, especially at a certain time in the world, it wasn't like necessarily that weird someone to get married, in their teens or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's great lines in the book, because she falls in love with the the Brad Pitt character, and it's like, if you would, why did you turn me? If you would have waited, a few more years, you would look at me like you look at these other women, and it's a very sad, and it's a great story.
Who is it as Armand in that? He's so good too.
He's actually a lot younger in the book.
Yeah.
How come I can't?
It
was either Antonio Banderas or Steven.
That's who it is. Yeah. Banderas, he's so good in it too.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
Nicholas, I don't think any one of the three is like as sexy as they are in that movie. Like, boom, it's just mic drop sex appeal right there. All three guys. Bam.
Which, when we get to number 11, there will be more sex appeal to go around for sure.
Oh, okay.
My number 12 actually kept moving all. Actually, my last 3 or 4 here, some of them were on, and then I took them off. And but anyway,
I think we all did that.
Yeah. Yep. At the moment, my number 12 is Dracula, which I think really
That's
holds.
A great one.
It's a great movie on its own. I'll be honest, there's some great horror films from the blaxploitation era. Then there's stuff like Blackenstein, which really isn't a good movie. And but Dracula is like legit is a good movie. He's a scary vampire in it.
Great performance too.
Yeah, great performance. Yeah. He's scary. It's just all around good movie.
And the story's good director. In there too.
Oh yeah.
In that one, they didn't just get some goofy thing they threw together.
No, it's a legit good movie.
Oh yeah. No, I was shocked when I first saw it, going in expecting based on the title, something, goofy, cheesy, schlocky, and it was like, no, they treated it with a lot of dignity. And that especially comes from the director of the movie.
Yeah, William Crane, really, really good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the pushback that he got while making the movie that ended up making the movie all the more better when he was able to make those things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like that shot in the hallway where the vampire runs towards the camera in slow motion is just freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's awesome. Good dude. Cheap plug, really great interview with him on Without Your Head. And I talk to him once in a while, so maybe we'll get back on at some point. And you're number 12, Troy.
My number 12 is one of the more recent ones on my list. And it's one, same thing. It went on and off my list several times. But it's one that, like, whenever I see it on, I can stop and watch it. I really like the movie a lot. Real clever, real different take on things. Is Daybreakers.
Oh, that's a good
yeah.
movie.
That's a movie I forgot about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
great
something
one.
I didn't even think about.
I just when it came out and we saw it, I remember like just being kind of blown away, like, wow, what a clever story. And then you see a lot of like human farms in more recent things now after the movie, where the vampires are kind of raising humans as cattle. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, like The Strain, the TV show.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, you can see like it was kind of a big influence on Guillermo and some people like that.
That's a
And
good.
I
That's a
think
good pick.
Defoe's performance is great in that one too. Like, doesn't have a big role, but he's just perfect in it.
I mean, honestly, even in movies I don't think particularly good, Defoe's always
Yeah,
top notch.
that's true.
Yeah,
100%.
That's true. Even in Aquaman, just fast forward everything else, go to Defoe, watch him. Then just turn it off.
I always wondered sometimes about Defoe because he'll be in like something like Aquaman, and then he'll be in like all these like smaller budget movies. And I actually saw an interview with him where he said he actually fought to play the Green Goblin because it was
really?
like something he wanted to play, and it was like it was start of the rise of the comic book movies, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool that like he actually was. But then then I thought it was cool, but then I thought, how dumb were they? Like they didn't want him to do it. They were like, William Dafoe wants to be in this, and they're like, nah, we want to go with somebody
That's
else.
still one of the biggest missed opportunities ever. Like a guy that you could just paint green and boom, he's the Green Goblin. So let's give him a static mask. So that,
if you see
great idea.
They have footage where he's wearing like
the animatronic mask.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
just so great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he may
damn you, Sam Raimi. Damn you.
He may pop up again here as my list goes on. All right, number 11.
So I promised sex appeal on this one, and I shall deliver. Only Lovers Left Alive.
Nice.
I mean, we all said a lot about this movie when we did the Decade of Decapitation, when I made my list. I mean, the only thing I can reiterate is just Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton are just perfect as a vampire couple.
Yep. Yeah, you can't ask for just the chemistry there is just amazing. I think that's when I got a man crush on Hiddleston in that movie.
It's definitely the movie where I realized that I love Jim Jarmusch movies for sure.
Yeah, and it captures just like the boredom of being alive.
You're just
of being immoral. Yeah,
no, that's true, and it's just a great hangout movie. It's what people tell me I'll get out of like Richard Linklater movies whenever I go to watch one, and then I watch one and I'm like, I'm bored out of my mind. And then I watch this movie and everything like Dead Man and Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai, and I'm just endlessly fascinated. And not a lot happens in those movies, and yet I'm just able to watch them like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are all good. I didn't even realize they were all made by the same person until you just said that, because they're so drastically different.
100%.
Yeah. So I learned something new tonight.
My number 11 is also kind of a slow-paced movie, but doesn't have the sex appeal, and that's Martin, which I've always
that may have made it way up high on my list.
I love Martin.
Might have made it on my list too.
Oh, excellent. It was one of the ones. The imagery scared me in the old monster magazines.
Yep.
And I love the idea of, and they never tell you for sure, is he or isn't he a vampire?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really makes the movie powerful, especially the ending.
Oh, yeah, because you can watch it either way. You can watch it as he is or he isn't, and still a great movie either way. But you also learn that, stake through the heart. will kill a vampire, but also probably kill all of us. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
and it's
That's
just
like
one
a
of
lot
those
of things. Like,
things. Yeah.
let's drown the witch or whatever.
Yeah. Shoot you with a silver bullet.
These are all good points. I think all the ways to kill everybody is all these monsters.
Yeah.
Even Nicolas Cage when he thought he was a vampire.
Right, yeah. Or,
Yep.
Yeah,
Vampire's
you cut
kiss.
someone's head off, a lot of things. Decapitation and
Yeah, that usually will do it, no matter who you are.
like, oh, he died. That proved he was, whatever.
Yep, we stuffed him his head full of garlic. He's gonna be dead now forever. Okay. I miss Grandpa, but
Oh, he happened to be allergic to garlic? Oh.
Oh,
Well, I
shit.
guess we'll never know.
Nicholas Hatch says he won't be able to call and Zoom in tonight, but thank you for the invite. So I'm going to throw out a couple of his as we go on. He does. Well, we'll wait till the end, and then I'll name Pete ones that we didn't talk about. So anyway, 11 was from me was Martin. 11 for Troy for the terrible one.
11 for me is not sexy at all, but one of the bloodier vampire movies that I've ever seen is 30 Days of Night, which I love how just animalistic and crazy the vampires are in this thing. They're like a pack of wolves as they descend on this town and they butcher everything in their way. There's some really neat things about this movie.
Yeah, I love that movie too. And I think it came around at a time where I mentioned Interview with the Vampire. So I think sometimes gets a bad rap for starting kind of the romantic vampire. But then we had a lot after Twilight and everything. And then there really wasn't just a scary vampire movie for quite a while. And then 30 Days a Night came along, which is based off the comic. And it really was like, oh, these are vicious vampires again. And yeah, I'm a big fan. And they captured the ending of the comic too, which
oh yeah. When you first see them just plowing through people, and they have that shot like above ground, and they're looking at it like bird's eye view down below, and you just see all these little blood spatters on the snow, and it's just so wild.
Which that does remind me, something I do want to say real quick is a lot of people give they talk about comic book movies, and there's a lot of stuff that people might not even realize came from comic books, like Snowpiercer and 30 Days a Night. So, there's a lot of really interesting stories that are in comic books, not just, superheroes.
Oh, yeah. The Sandman, there's all kinds of good stuff.
So, all right. Now we're into the top 10.
The top 10.
My number 10 is The Fearless Vampire Killers.
Oh, that's a really fun choice. Not something I even thought of. But, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I've always loved this movie since I first saw it way back in 2011. I've seen it other times since then, but that was just the first time that I remember seeing it.
Yeah.
And it's a fun, funny vampire movie that looks like a Hammer horror film, and
oh yeah.
And it's funny because I used to go to these movie nights about 30 minutes away from me at a friend's house with two friends of mine. And this friend of mine, Scott, chose as his birthday movie for that one particular night. He chose not to tell us what the movie was and just gave us hints. Like he started saying how it was a movie that was patterned after, it was a comedy that was patterned after Hammer horror films. It looked like a Hammer horror film. And it was winter themed. And I was like, wait. So, okay, I'm going to ask a few questions. So did this come out in the 60s? Yes. And was it made by a very controversial director? Yes. And so we basically had to wait until he basically revealed the title of the movie. And it was great. No, and especially for another friend of ours that was there who had never seen the movie before, and she loved it. So that was fun.
First time I saw that one, I think, was at least a couple of years before Neal was born.
I know our Uncle Barry is a big fan of the movie.
Yeah, he loved it. I remember, going to see it with him and Hyannis Drive-In.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any ones here on my list that I would have seen at the drive-in. I'm not sure. Possibly Martin, but I'm not positive. Probably not, actually.
I will also say it has one of my favorite vampire jokes, where you find out the vampires are Jewish just by someone flashing a cross on Alfie Bass,
Oh,
and he just goes, yeah, you've got the wrong vampire."
that's pretty good. Yeah.
I always thought a cool scene for a vampire film. Maybe I should keep it for myself someday, but it would be sort of a take on the Jaws scene where they're all like comparing scars, and they would be comparing like wounds from crosses, and one person would have like a Star of David.
Star David.
Yeah.
Nice.
That'd be great.
See here. So my number 10 was Troy's number 11, and I agreed with everything he said. It was just a really violent vampire movie, and that is 30 Days of Night. And I always like to say it's original idea, but I believe they actually did it in Old Tales from the Crypt. It's the same kind of idea, but
I think you're right. Yeah.
that's all right. You can always find inspiration in something cool. But
Yeah.
honestly, sometimes I read short stories and things from, or not even short stories, books from King, and he'll even admit it. They're inspired from other things. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of like Matheson and like a lot of the old.
Yeah, Salem's Lot. I mean, he just says
Yeah.
it's his Dracula. So.
Yep.
All right. As long as
That
you
was
do
your
something with it.
number 10.
Yes, sir.
All right. My number 10 is my second based on a comic book thing. And it's Blade,
Oh, wow, that's a
which
really good
I
choice.
really dig Blade.
How did
I love the
not
look of
recognize-
everything in it. And like when he cuts through the vampires and they kind of turn to ash, and Wesley Snipes, I think, is just perfect in the movie. Actually, I just dig everything about it. Like,
Yeah,
I always
that's
liked
someone
the
I didn't think about
character
either.
too.
You
And
guys
they did a
had
good job with him.
Yeah, there's a few here that I didn't even think about when I was putting together my list, but I always liked Blade too. And that was before, there was comic movies, but it's before before the big boom.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite like Marvel
Marvel.
movie before the MCU stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the neat things about that is, of course, the writer from Marvel who created the character back in the day was Marv Wolfman.
Oh, I didn't actually know
The
that.
great name. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know they're doing a new one. Some people, who knows? Like anything,
Sure.
I don't know until I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an open mind. I think it'll be.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of bad remakes or retakes or whatever you want to call them. And I've seen, without the remake stuff, we wouldn't have John Carpenter's A Thing and then different things. So who knows?
Yeah.
So Blade made your list, but not Blade Trinity.
Not quite. It just wasn't quite on the cusp.
Maybe it's higher.
Yes. He picked my number one. How did you know?
Get the great
Which-
performance by Triple H.
Yes. Can't beat it.
Which they did actually at the New Bev have a Blade triple feature.
Oh, really?
Oh, did
with all
they?
three- Yeah.
See, I dig
I-
the second one too. I thought the second one was decent. I like the different
Guillermo.
vampire take. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember not digging the third one, but I can't say I don't think I've ever watched it since then, since I saw it the first time.
Same. I didn't
Yeah,
mind it.
same
I don't
way.
know if I'd have the same reaction now as I did then, which I actually didn't mind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Number 9.
So my number 9, it's going to be surprising that the remake is higher than the original movie. And I don't think it's one that people typically think of as better than the original. When you think of movies like, say, The Thing is usually seen as better than Think of Another World, The Fly better than the 1958 Fly for some people.
Yeah,
Some.
yeah. I made a very controversial post.
Exactly. But for this list, Nosferatu the Vampire, the one with Klaus Kinski from
Love
Werner
that
Herzog.
one. So good.
I
So
think
good.
it's great too.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know why. Just something about it hits me more than the original 1922 movie. I think maybe part of it is that, they were able to do certain things that they couldn't do back in 1922, such as actually shooting at night,
Oh,
which is unfair for 1920 the 1922 Nosferatu, but it does give it a little more of an edge, and it's an interesting movie just because it's shot like a documentary at times, and yet somehow that adds to the mood in a weird way. Maybe almost gives it a sense of authenticity. But also Klaus
might.
Kinski as the vampire is just amazing.
Oh, he blew my mind in that one.
Yeah,
Like-
and anything with the combination of Herzog and
Yeah.
Kinski, great. The Great Doc, there's a great documentary about the two, my best fiend. And from everything I've seen, Klaus Kinski not a good person, but I can't deny he's one of my favorite actors. Honestly, anytime he's on
Yeah.
screen, you're just totally drawn to him.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you can't turn away, right?
He's one of those actors where I've seen him in countless spaghetti westerns where he's obviously dubbed by somebody else, and yet his performance still shines through the dubbing.
Mhm.
It's he's great, and also you know what? I'm not going to say the name because I'm blanking on the name right now. So Bruno Ganz, he's also great in it, and of course the lovely Isabelle Adjani is just a vision, great performance, but also just a visual presence in every shot, from that opening shot where she just screams into the camera to when you have the mirror scene when she's sitting in front of the mirror with Klaus Kinski not appearing in the mirror at all. It's great.
All right, the great choice.
Yeah.
I think I don't think it's necessarily better, but I actually think it's a great remake. I would put up there as one of the
I
better
agree.
remakes. Number 9 for me is oddly, I like all three versions of Nosferatu. This is a sort of a version, and that's Shadow of the Vampire.
Ooh,
I
That
think
one
it's such
almost made
a-
my
that's a
list as
great
well.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
same.
that movie. It's such a weird idea and a cool take on movies in general. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of I mean, if you look up the guy, you could see that he's been in a lot of other things, but I think American audiences probably just only know that he did Nosferatu and that
Oh,
Shrek.
right.
There's a lot of weirdness. I think there was even after people saw that, they even said, "Oh, that's the only thing he ever did." But it isn't. But the movie, yeah, it's Willem Dafoe is great in it.
Oh, yeah.
Malkovich, and just it's a really fun, cool horror movie.
Eddie
And if
Izzard, I
anyone
think, is so good in that one too.
yeah, if anyone hasn't checked it out, definitely check that out. All right, number 8. Oh,
Number
9.
9.
Number 9. We're
Oh,
not skipping over in Troy's now.
Oh yeah, that's right. Number
All right, my number 9 is also a real, unique kind of movie. Came and went, and then it became kind of a cult classic, and that's Near Dark. And I just
Oh
thought that
shit!
was
I don't have
such a cool kind of
Yeah.
almost grubby kind of looking movie. I liked it a ton.
I should have Near Dark on my list because that's legit is one of my favorite horror movies. I love everyone in it. Great Lance Hendrickson, I'm always a big fan of. I think it's one of
Lance
his
is
best
king.
performances.
Yep. And
Right
who
under
was it?
Pumpkinhead for me.
Pullman there. He's really good in that
Yeah.
too.
I love the whole group. Yeah, they have like the
the James
the
Cameron.
whole like
group.
vampire family. Yeah.
That's a great choice. One I didn't think about putting my list together, but it would definitely be on it.
Yep. Definitely dig that movie.
Mhm. I like the Spurs, kicking people
Oh,
with the
yeah.
Spurs. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Some of
a
the
really good
visuals
show.
are really neat in that too. And like more action than you'd expect from like a vampire kind of movie.
Mhm. I know when I talked to Lance, I think he I don't say starved himself, but he didn't eat, and he's a naturally thin guy anyway. But he got really skinny for that.
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Even sickly at some point, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't recommend that, but it is. a good
No.
show.
All right, gents, I will be right back.
All right. We'll start with our number 8.
So my number 8 is do we want to continue with that, Troy, or
We can wait here a couple minutes.
I'm cool with
Anything
that.
you would like to plug before we get to number 8?
Sure. My web series Dark Signals, we just shot the last of 6 episodes. So we're working on getting those underway in post-production and hopefully having it done by fall 2023.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Very
it'll
cool.
be possibly on YouTube, and it'll be 6 anthology horror films, short films mostly, and between varying between 10 minutes to even some might be 20. So
That's very exciting.
and a certain someone in this
Yes.
group might have a cameo.
Yes, I will get that finished. I promise. So I'll do it this weekend. Tomorrow, I'm going away tomorrow to an advanced screening of Dungeons and Dragons,
Ooh.
which I'm actually looking forward to. I grew up a big D&D fan. The movie looks a little cheesy, but hey, whatever. The trailer's fun because for a D&D fan like me, I see a lot of monsters pop up that I know. Oh, there's an owlbear, there's a mimic, all these different things. So that's fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And where can people find that to subscribe to your channel?
Most definitely. Well, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Slasher Films, or Jhead SF06. You can also find me on Facebook or just under Justin Bernard Head, or even Instagram as Justin Head 01. And you can inquire more there.
Awesome, very cool. So we'll get that sorted out. Let everyone know if you're in the Kansas City area. Just yesterday found out that we were the Once and Future Smash and End Zone 2 will be playing Panic Fest, which is a 10-day festival. Renfield's actually going to premiere there. I think before it even goes to the theater. So it's a pretty cool lineup, a really awesome lineup, honestly, to be part of. I don't know if I'll be able to make it out there, especially not for 10 days, but it's a really packed event. So it's very big honor to have my first feature film playing there. We just played Renegade Film Festival, which was a really fun experience. I personally like a festival that is all on one screen because all the filmmakers, the fans, everyone can watch. There's something about everyone watching all the movies together over several days, all on one screen. There's a nice community feel to that, I think.
That does sound awesome.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward. I did this interview with Chad Coleman, which it just premiered earlier today on the YouTube page. And it's for a movie which I didn't get to see yet because they don't even have a trailer for it yet, but it premiered at South by Southwest. It's going to be at Boston Underground Film Festival. And I think Justin will be interested too, because it's called, and Troy, it is called The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. And it's a modern day take on Frankenstein.
Ooh.
You had us at Frankenstein.
So
So he said it's got a lot of social commentary. It's about inner city black girl. There's a lot of death around her through drugs and gangs and violence. And she sets out to cure death. And so she's like the modern day Dr. Frankenstein.
Wow.
And it's told more through her eyes than the monster. And so he said it's kind of a combination of things he's known for. The Walking Dead, because he said it's got a lot of gore in it. And also The Wire, because it's got a lot of social commentary. So I'm very interested in this.
I'm down completely. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime there's a take on Frankenstein, I know we're all excited.
Yep.
And it sounded like an interesting, unusual take on it.
Yeah, definitely like a new take on it.
All right. So number 8. We waited for you, Troy. So we are back with our
Thank you,
number
Chief.
8. Of course.
no worries.
By the way, Nicholas Hatch in the Charm says Queen of the Dead is awesome, Justin.
Thank you, Nicholas. But I'm always glad to hear.
I agree.
I agree as well. We're unanimous on this.
And we're not biased because Trista's in it.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, we love you both. And
As I say often on the show, not just because you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the admiration from
I'm sure
y'all
if people watch a lot,
else.
they might be able to read between the lines when I'm talking about things on the show. And maybe I don't necessarily like some if I don't add all these different things. I'm not going to bring someone on and say I don't like their movie or something. All right, but I'll always be honest. All right, number 8, Justin.
So my number 8 is Troy's number 9, and it is Near Dark.
Nice.
Yeah, no, this had to make the list. It was I love this movie. I love that whole crew, especially the late great Bill Paxton is just phenomenal.
Oh,
I quote many of his lines often, we keep odd hours, or having trouble with your holographic there? No?
His
It's-
delivery
Yeah,
is always
he's
so
so
great
good
in
at that. Yeah.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
great in everything is where he's comic relief, but he's not over the top goofy, but he's a naturally kind of goofy guy, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think in every role, like in Aliens and stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
True Lies.
oh yeah, yeah.
He seems like a natural, like everyone knows kind of a goofy guy, like if anyone knows me. And so, someone like that. And so he fits in. It's not like he's out of place in any of these movies.
Yeah.
No,
The last
definitely.
thing I saw him in was he had a great recurring role in Agents of Shield, I think in like the
Oh, really?
third or fourth season. And
He was one of the best parts. Yeah.
yeah, he was so good in that.
It's sad because I have the Anchor Bay DVD set for Near Dark. I believe it's like the Ultimate Edition. It's like a fold out DVD set.
Oh,
And I had gotten it signed by Jeanette Goldstein and Lance Henriksen. And so I was hoping that there would be an opportunity at some point, this was 2014, 2015, to get Bill Paxton to sign it. And then he passed away. And so that opportunity went away, unfortunately,
yeah.
as did the opportunity to see him in more movies, of course.
Yeah. So Real Badger also says that his personal favorite vampire films, he includes Near Dark.
Nice.
It's a great choice.
And like you said, if you would have been thinking about it, you would have included it as well. I think this was the first one, though, that I didn't have to look at a list to like make, double check my list, like I know I'm forgetting something because in all the other ones I had to do that. Because I'm like, otherwise I know I'll forget something that I love.
I was mostly like that.
My number 8, which I don't think has been mentioned yet. I kind of put it in the same category with 30 Days a Night, but it's a little more fun than 30 Days a Night, but it's very gory. And that is Dusk Till Dawn, which I saw recently at that same marathon I was talking about. And it made me like, I always liked the movie. And then over years, for whatever reason, I'm like, oh, maybe it's kind of just dumb or something. But watching again, it's like, oh, no, this is really good. The setup is great with the where you just get to know the characters. And it seems like you're about to watch just a straight up, a thriller action movie, kind of a Tarantino-esque, movie. And then it switches into a vampire film. And I didn't know this till I was interviewing the guy who played Dr. Satan recently, Walter Phelan, and he had said that Dusk Till Dawn was originally a script for the first Tales from the Crypt movie.
Oh, no kidding.
And then they kind of switched that. Then they rewrote it for when Rodriguez directed and stuff. But the original script was going to be a Tales from the Crypt movie. And I thought that really makes sense because I could kind of see it as a Tales from the Crypt story.
Yeah. Yep. You definitely could.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, just fun. It's just a fun movie. Crazy performances by everybody. You get like legit great actors, and then you've got, not that Fred the Hammer Williamson isn't a great actor, but you get like just his cameos from him and
Tom Savini.
has a great role, and Cheech Marin and kind of put
Trejo.
Yeah, I was gonna say really put Trejo, I think, like in people's eyes, and people started to like, if he was around, but like that's when people started to know, oh, that that's the bartender from whatever, and then and then of course, if you sex appeal, the Selma Hayek scene is
Ooba Dooba right there.
And then years later, watching it now again, after everyone knows about Quentin Tarantino, his thing with feet. Watching that scene, I was like, "Oh, this is a little creepy." But
Yeah.
did he write that specifically for him, or what?
But I'm not gonna lie. While I love the movie, that's the scene that definitely gets my attention 100%. While like literally phones up, down, just off to the side, and I'm just.
Oh yeah. And then Los Lobos doing the music too. So good stuff.
All right, Tara just apologizes. She had a crazy day that they're doing prep for a movie that they're doing, so we understand. But she says next time she wants to join us. So I'll tell her next time. We'll have more advanced sometimes, we do these things very last minute. So. All right. Troy's number 8.
My number 8, it's a movie that I thought was going to be an enormous hit when it came out, and I don't think it just ever found its audience. And I don't know why, because I think it's just a great movie, and it's Innocent Blood.
Oh, that is a really fun movie.
I still didn't see that one.
Oh, you haven't seen that one? Oh,
Nope.
just got to think mobsters and vampires with the weird tie-in, and what's his name? Loggia?
Oh, Robert Loggia.
Yeah, he's so good in it. And old comedian, old stand-up comic
Who is
that would
it?
insult people.
It's
Rodney
my God, I
Dangerfield.
can't.
Don Rickles.
Before him,
Don
Don
Rickles.
Rickles. Yep.
Oh,
So if you ever wanted to see Don Rickles as a vampire, and who doesn't, it's the movie for you.
I'm a huge fan of Don Rickles. I like old Hollywood kind of guy. He was one of the last people that era. I think kind of Bob Newhart's one of the last people in that era. But
Yep.
yeah, big Don Rickles fan. I also mentioned this, I think, to Troy the other day, talking about the slap at the Oscars last year. If Don Rickles was hosting the Oscars, what the hell would he have done? He would have
he would have shot himself or something. Been like, no, just can't take it anymore. Boom. But yeah, that's and it's got that cool vibe that you get from like American Werewolf in London. I really love the movie.
Yeah, I like it too. That is a really underrated film. I haven't watched it in years, so that would be one I'd like to rewatch.
I don't know where you could find it now. Like, I'll have to do a big search and see if it's on somewhere.
For people who don't ever use it, I think is it Watch Movies or what? I'll have to find this website. There's a cool website that tells you where everything is streaming. It'll tell you if it's for rent or whatever. I use it all the time. I have a bookmark. The problem is it's the same thing with phone numbers. I know no one's phone number. When I grew up, I knew everyone's phone number.
Oh yeah. I don't even know my own phone number. If you ask me what my number, I'd have to look it up. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking if I ever actually lost my phone, and not like I'm same with passwords. I am saved usually, but I'll have to find this. But I think it's What to Watch, maybe. I'm gonna look it up now.
That would be a handy thing.
I'm gonna totally ruin the vibe of the show.
No worries.
It'll be worth it though.
I got Sandy here terrorizing my desk, so it's all good.
Nice.
Justwatch.com, and it'll tell you where everything is. It'll tell you, if you have to, if it's a rental or a subscription site. So what were you looking for? I'll look it up real quick.
Oh, Innocent Blood. See where we can watch it. Because I haven't seen it in years either.
Wow, it's not very many places. You can rent it on Apple TV for $2.99. Oh, it's also streaming on, for me anyway, Hoopla, which is another site I would like to recommend for people. Hoopla is a website. If you belong to your local library, you can watch the movie. You can borrow the movies virtually that's at your local library and watch them online.
Oh, that's badass.
And you can also read comic books and books in PDF format and stuff. It's a cool way to join your local library. So I would check that out. It's free on there. Innocent Blood on Hoopla. I think it's the only place it's free, actually.
Okay.
And you can rent Apple TV, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, Vudu, DirecTV, pretty much everywhere, I guess.
Okay. But you have to rent them on everything else.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So support your local library and get on Hoopla.
This is the special learning episode of Without Your Head tonight.
Yeah.
I have learned much tonight.
It's an educational show.
Yes.
And Sandy says hello, by the way.
Hello, Sandy.
Oh, yes.
Is Sandy named after someone?
The character Sandy from Grease. My mother is Sandy D. My mother loves that movie, so she named her Sandy as a result.
I'm actually
you have that in common as well. Because our mother
I'm a big fan of Grease. I'm not sure it's true about Troy, but our mom loves Grease.
I've seen it many times.
Grease lightning. All right. Number 7.
Number 7. This took one hell of a weird change.
We've been all over the place tonight.
I want to see a Grease vampire hybrid.
That'd be great. So my
Get
number
Nicolas
7,
Cage on that one.
Yeah.
ooh, on board for that for sure. So my number 7 is one that Neal mentioned earlier today. George Romero's Martin.
Oh, rock on.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I love this movie. It's I introduced some friends of mine to it a couple years back. In 2020, I started doing backyard movie nights until like late 2020 until I got COVID, and so I cut those off for a little while and didn't see too many of my friends for a while until like maybe March of 2021. And then later in 2021, like around August, I had a movie night for some friends, and the first movie that I picked for that night was Martin. And everybody, my two friends that were there, they loved it. They thought it was fantastic. In fact, I had introduced both those friends of mine to a lot of George Romero's films, and my friend Brandon said that of the ones he's seen, Martin might be his favorite one.
Oh, nice.
It's right up there for me too. Like, and I love a ton of Romero stuff, but that one's right up there.
Definitely, it's a great little. It's basically an indie drama, but with horror elements. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. It's that's a good way to say it, an indie drama. So if people aren't familiar with it, don't go in thinking you're going to see like this ultra gory, horror movie. It's a more, slow pace, but it's a really interesting movie.
And there's some queasy moments too, like, with the razors and things like that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And now that I suggested to a friend, I won't say her name, but she couldn't really watch it because of kind of the stalkery elements at the beginning kind of really put her.
okay.
So.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Um,
That's one I hope they never remake. I never want to see a
Same.
remake.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I think they would probably try to amp up, the horror elements, and I don't. It would just be a totally different movie.
Yeah. Which means from Blumhouse next year comes the reimagining.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're doing the new Exorcist,
Ooh,
and I always feel Exorcist is like Jaws. Like there's no shark movie that ever comes close. There's no. I like some exorcism movies but I don't think anyone comes close to the Exorcist. So that when you tackle something that big, it's kind of like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a big, and I wasn't huge on the new Halloween movies. The same guys making this, but we'll see. I give everything a chance. So who knows?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Number 7, right? Number 7.
Yep.
I love this movie. It also holds a special place. I saw it when I was in rehab. I was very sick, in physical rehab. And it took my mind off everything's going on. It was so funny. And that is What We Do in the Shadows.
I almost made my list. I love that movie so much.
Yeah. So as a personal meaning to me, because I remember watching it on my laptop. I watched that and another vampire movie, actually, Blood of the Tribbids. That one I went and sat in the corner because there's a lot of male nudity, a lot of dongs in it. And I didn't want the old. It was people don't know. So I was in physical rehab. I was the only person under about 70 or 80 there because it was it was a retirement home, nursing home / rehab center, and I was the only person there for actually rehabilitation. Everyone else was. Their kids, they're old. And so anyway, there's a lot of old people and me and the nurses, and I didn't want them like thinking, what the hell is this guy watching? They probably already thought I was a weirdo. And yeah, I come with a lot of stories. I shared a room with Fred, who was 93. And his brother used to come in and he would go, Fred, what do you do with all these batteries? Every time I see you, I bring you soup and batteries. And I always thought that's the funniest line. Like,
that's
what the hell
awesome.
does he do he brings them soup and batteries every couple days? Like, what the hell do you do with all these batteries? And then
That's the autobiography of Fred, is soup and batteries.
and then I remember one day he even told me that was his older brother. And I was like, he's 90, he's your older brother?
Wow.
Like, this 96-year-old man's driving. Good for him, though. He was driving down visiting his brother.
Didn't he use them to, like, he had an electric shaver or
Yeah, every
something?
morning, 4:30 in the morning, because we shared a room. The only thing that separates there was that they put a curtain down the middle of the room, and he at 4:30 every morning he'd be shaving with the electric shaver, and then he'd go meet this other guy in the middle in the hallway, and they'd compare who had the closest shave. I guess
Nice.
that's what you do when you're like in your 90s, I guess.
Yeah,
That's
what
your
else you
form
got
of
going on?
competition.
Why not?
Yeah,
Did
you'd
they
be
do like
"Hey,
the edge side and the gel side?
right. And I remember the nurse came in one day. I couldn't see him because he's behind the curtain. She said, "Fred, what are you doing with your pants that around your ankles again?" And I was like, "Oh my God." He said,
Well, see, maybe it wouldn't have been too many dongs for that crew, you know? You might have fit right in with that one. Just bam.
Exactly.
You made a better friend in Fred.
Maybe.
Would have been very close.
He just
Yeah, I wish I would have done that when I went in there to visit you. Just bring your batteries and soup.
he just I'm just so happy to see you, is what he said. But he was a nice guy. Well, I mean, I don't know. He was nice to me, I guess. Number 7. I just did mine. What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
Really, really fun movie. Then I
That's
started
right.
talking about Fred, but no, it's just a hilarious movie, and that's
Watiti at his best.
yeah,
right there.
yeah, really like his first thing that people. I remember. So we had a lot of guests from this movie on the website, and I remember we didn't get Jermaine on, and he was, probably at that time the most famous of the people because he did what's the show on HBO, the about the
Flight of the
band?
Conchords.
Flight of the Conchords, and so he was sort of known. We didn't get him, and the only other guy we didn't get is Watiti, and I remember the email. They emailed me back. They said he's really interested in this, but he's busy filming Thor. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, you have that history of Western Hemisphere guys, because you remember when you were gonna get oh my God, Mr.
Peter
Lord
Jackson.
of the Rings.
I was gonna get Peter Jackson on the show to talk about Dead Alive, and I got a reply, and they're like, Peter is interested in this because from what I understand, he actually really loves Dead Alive, and he's been wanting to do a sequel, but he's busy doing giant movies. And they replied back, he's actually interested in this, but he can't do. And this is when he was working on the remake of King Kong. And I was like, oh,
doing a little movie called King Kong.
But it was very cool that actually I got a reply.
Oh yeah,
all right,
that's pretty awesome.
That is great.
I should reach out again. Maybe you do.
Yeah, both guys.
Yeah.
You should frame that email response.
I know those would
Yeah.
both be great ones.
Yeah. That they're
Neal's this close on the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, I always talk about I always talk about the Shatner turned down, but his was just funny to me. But those were actually nice. It just that it was funny.
Yeah.
The Shatner one was it was like honestly about 10 minutes after I emailed to see Shatner come on, I got a reply, and it was from his agent, but in my mind it's just William Shatner replying, and it goes, William Shatner only does major, all in capitals, major media interviews, which I thought was hilarious.
That is pretty awesome.
That's great.
All right, number 7, Troy.
Oh, my number 7, there's my first Hammer movie on here. And it's the Horror of Dracula, which was Cushing and Lee's first Dracula for Hammer. And I just love it. And I think Christopher Lee physically is the best Dracula. He just like, just so imposing and just, and he's Christopher fucking Lee, so he's just perfect for anything.
And not to mention Peter Cushing.
And Cushing will always be my Van Helsing. Nice. Oh
awesome.
my God, I love that. Oh, that's the balls. Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's rules. By the way, I don't have them down here yet. I do have this. I'm going to show this real quick. This was a birthday gift from
Oh, nice.
Treacherous Trista.
Nice.
And she also sent me a Hammer Horror the
Ooh.
Mummy figure, which I need to
Oh,
put up
that's
here.
Oh,
so
no way.
cool.
Yeah.
That is
Also
so
one of my
awesome.
favorite Cushing and Lee movies. Yeah. We do
They're
that on
great.
a 13, the favorite Cushing and Lee's.
Yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
or maybe that I will admit that it's something I need to watch more of. Is I've not seen a ton of Hammer horror films.
See, once you do though, it's tough to
It would,
stop. You
yeah,
just
it would be
keep
fun
wanting
to go
more and more.
down into, and it's like the last 3 or 4 years I've really been trying to catch up on. Oh, very cool. All the the classic horror novels I never read, and it's been
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
experience just flying through them. And this would be the same way. I can fly through these movies that I've never seen.
You know what would be fun though is to watch them like chronologically, and like
Oh,
see
yeah.
them from the beginning. And
I like to
because I don't
figure
think
that
I've
out.
ever done that. I've like kind of seen them
Same.
piecemeal. Like, yeah.
Just here and
Lots of-
there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and I will say though, not Hammer Horror, but one Cushing and Lee movie I recommend is Horror Express.
Oh, hell yeah.
That
Yep.
movie's great. That movie's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, that's one I have seen and I am a fan of. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even Telly Savalas. I mean, how can you go
Mhm.
wrong?
Yeah. Annabelle did a really cool painting, I want to say, or it's either a painting or a drawing for Horror Express once on her Facebook, I think.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. I don't think I've seen that
Nice.
one.
I'll try to find it here while we're talking. What was that? Was our number
Was
7?
it everybody
It
together?
was
or
number
was
7.
it-
I know it's just the one character.
Oh, okay.
Did you do your number 7, Troy? Oh yeah, that was your number
That
7.
was, yeah, Horror of Dracula. And then I had a bunch of other ones on there. Like I love, Taste the Blood of Dracula, but didn't quite make it.
I think my favorite of the sequels with Lee anyway is Dracula Has Risen from the Grave.
Oh, that one's tremendous.
Yes. Probably my favorite Dracula sequel is Brides of Dracula. It doesn't have Lee, but it's still really good. You get Cushing, so
Yeah.
good enough.
Yeah, that one's crazy too. Is that where they have to get like the goblet and it's like a group of rich guys? Or am I thinking of a different one?
That's Taste the Blood of Dracula.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, here it is.
Oh, that's awesome. That's an iconic
yeah,
shot
I love
too.
that. Yeah.
That is really damn cool.
That looks like she did it maybe like Conti crayon or something.
Yeah, I'm not positive what it is, but it's very cool.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's mad cool. That's great.
I think it's similar to how she did this up here, the Motel Hell one she gave me.
Oh, okay.
Farmer Vincent.
Yeah, I love
Takes
that one
all
too.
kinds of critters.
Farmer Vincent's fritters.
Like Martin, this is an image I remember from the magazines. This Martin and the kids at the window of Salem's Lot were all things I watched. I'd see in the Troy's.
Oh,
I was a little kid, and I was like, "Oh man, I got to see all these."
yeah, Salem's Lot was one that almost made the list, and it's because of scenes like that.
It was on my list, and then I eventually took it off. I was like, it's technically a mini series, so I'm gonna take it off.
Oh,
Only
yeah.
because it made me easy. It was easier to figure out where to put things. I was like, well, I'll take it off just because and I'll mention it off afterwards. But I'm fine if anyone actually still includes it. But it was on my list for the longest time, and I also bought it.
Oh, I love it.
So 6. Now we're to the
6.
666. Yes.
My number 6 has been mentioned, From Dusk Till Dawn.
Excellent.
Oh, nice.
And I will say this is a movie that I've seen now. I've seen it multiple times just at home, but I've actually gone to see it in theaters in general. I think I've seen it about 4 times in re-release anyway. I didn't see it when it first came out because I was 6 years old. And I didn't get to see horror movies until I was like 12, between 9 and 12. But I've seen it in re-release once at the Egyptian, and then I've seen it 3 times at the New Bev as a midnight screening. So that's always
Oh,
awesome
wow.
to see.
Yeah, I bet at
I
a
mean-
midnight thing that would be fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think all movies are better on the big screen, but there's some movies like that movie. It's a much more entertaining experience seeing on the big screen with
Oh, for sure.
with like a group of people, because there's a lot of scenes everyone can kind of laugh or gasp at, and it really adds to the experience watching Dust Till Dawn with people and on the big screen.
100%.
Yep, agreed.
All right, my number 6. I don't think it actually has been mentioned yet, and that is The Lost Boys.
Oh, okay. There's one that I didn't really think of.
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of things. I like movies where it's kind of the coming of age story. So you got that.
Yep.
Which I'm kind of a sucker for those kind of movies in general. But then you've got the vampires, and it's kind of, there's the vampires are like legit kind of are spooky and serious, and then you've got some kind of goofy comedy in the movie with the Frog Brothers, and but it all works together. And when you get the older, like the grandfather, which is a fun character, not too much. And of course, you've got the sax guy. I still believe.
Oh, hell yeah.
Tim Capello.
I still believe.
Which I regret he was going to be in our movie, but we couldn't get someone to Florida to film his scenes. But maybe down the road, if we do more with Once and Future Smash, Tim Capello will pop up. But
I still love the fact that he's around like wearing like a chainmail like half shirt.
He's a really entertaining guy.
He's the greatest.
And he's totally cool, hamming it up and have a little bit of fun with his image, and really cool interview to plug the show. But it's like a 2-hour interview with Tim Capello, not just about this, but he has a really interesting career. He's played with a lot of really big people. But The Lost Boys, though, I think it's a great movie. Really cool, evil vampires in it.
Oh yeah.
And, it just works.
Then like the big vampire at the end is a cool reveal.
Yeah, it's a good twist that I don't think a lot of people
Yep.
saw coming. I didn't see coming when I saw it. The deaths of the vampires doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. Some of them blow up and some of them just disintegrate,
yeah.
but whatever.
It's fun though.
It's all
Yeah.
good. It works. Yeah.
All right.
That was the number 6.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
666.
That's right.
That was
All right,
originally
my number 6 is a Korean film called Thirst, which I just found last year, and I fell in love with it.
I still need to see that one.
Yeah, I've not seen it either.
It's about a priest and he becomes a vampire, and it's like a really neat take on things. Like, since you guys haven't seen it, I won't tell you too much. I don't want to spoil anything, but trust me, I know both your tastes, and I think you'll both really like it.
So it sounds is it sort of like Black Mass or completely different?
It has that vibe to start with, but no, it's different. It's real sympathetic, the character and stuff, and it actually reminds me a little bit of Midnight Mass, not the Netflix one, but the book, because there's a priest in it, and he has like a turn, and he takes it differently. But
I meant Midnight Mass. If I said Black Mass, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought you meant.
Yeah. I might have said Black Mass, which is a totally different movie about Whitey Bulger.
I was gonna say it's not even a vampire movie.
Yeah, he was just like that one. Cumberbatch shows up as his brother, and
Yeah.
But yeah, check out Thirst. I think everyone will dig.
Yeah, it's one I have not seen. I'll have to check this out. All right.
I think it's on Shudder. That's where I found it anyway.
Okay. We're getting into our top 5 here. I'm trying to look here. There's definitely a couple here that's been mentioned in my top 5. I think 2 have not. So interesting.
Oh, I have 2 as well that haven't been mentioned, that I have faith in you guys, and I think we'll
I'm
all
pretty
have two
sure.
of these.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of these will be on here, but it's possible.
3 of
Right.
mine have been mentioned for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same with me.
I
I think
figured-
what we're saying, 3 of ours have been mentioned and 2 have not. Maybe they're all the same 2. We'll find out.
Maybe.
Because I think you guys will have Love at First Bite in your top 2.
Awesome. Vampire in Brooklyn.
Exactly.
Oh.
I thought as much.
Number 5.
So my number 5 is your number 6, Lost Boys.
Oh, excellent.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Saw it, when I was
Yep.
13. I was in junior high. It was summer, and yeah, no, it's just a fun freaking movie. One of the best from Joel Schumacher. Probably another favorite of mine from his is Falling Down, but that Lost Boys might be my favorite of his. Yeah, and no, I can't think of much else to say about it. I love the opening song, "Cry Cry Little Sister," and
Yeah,
just,
everyone talks about
Oh,
I
yeah,
Believe, but
yeah.
honestly, that's a really creepy song that I actually
It is.
listen to every once in a while.
every Halloween.
Yeah, that's one that it probably would have made my list had I thought of it. But see, that's the problem with not looking at a larger list and saying, aha, I forgot that one. That's
I
the
probably
one
saw
I
it about the
forgot.
same age, but it was when it first came out. I saw it at the. I'm not sure with who, but I saw it at the movie theater. I don't know.
You may have seen it with me.
May have been.
I think so.
I mentioned this on something else the other day. I'd always gone to see R-rated movies and stuff, and I was never carded as a kid ever. And our mom actually would write me out a note every once in a while, to give permission in case they would ask. And no one ever asked until I went to see Texas Chainsaw 3D. That's the first time I was carded, and I was 40 years old.
That's awesome.
And at that same movie, then we went out to eat at a barbecue place to do a review, Annabelle and I, and they wouldn't serve me alcohol, even with my ID, which was, I've never had this experience before. And she's like, he's got gray in his beard, and started yelling at the.
Well, do you remember, Neal? I think I was 40 when I first got carded for cigarettes. And I had to send you in to get me a pack of cigarettes. Because I don't know where we were
and this
going.
is before where they kind of have to card you now, but yeah.
Yeah. That's dude, I'm 40 years old. They're like, no, if you don't have your ID, okay.
So that was
Number
5.
Number 5 alive.
My number 5, I believe Troy has mentioned, and I believe will probably be higher on Justin's list. But Dracula, the original Dracula, Bela Lugosi.
Nice.
Yeah, it's obviously it's one of the Universal monster movies. It looks amazing. And the sets are so awesome in these movies. Him walking around the
100%.
castle.
Yep.
And it's such a weird performance by Bela Lugosi. It's almost like from a silent film, because it's sort of like this over the top weird performance, his mannerisms and movements. And it's just a very strange thing, which adds to the whole just feel of the movie.
Yeah, it's got an eerie quality that you don't get in a lot of things.
And that would be a movie I think you could always learn something from any movie that worked at some point. And that would be a movie people could watch today. And, the use of shadows and the atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Your number 5, Mr. Jim.
My number 5 has been mentioned. I don't know if by both of you or by one of you, but it's Interview with the Vampire.
Nice.
Maybe both of you?
Not yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
maybe
All right.
even higher on my list. But yeah.
But
I think all three
Interview,
of us are
loved
big
it
fans.
all. Yeah. Just the cast, everything about it. Just love it. Just love the look of the vampires. I love their movement, everything. Just a badass movie.
Yeah. And I like the it takes which I think is an element in a lot of vampire films. There's a lot of sadness in it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
has an epic feel where it's told over, so much time. I haven't watched the series, actually. I've heard good things and bad things. So I'll watch it.
Yeah. I love the series. It's completely different take, but with a reason. I won't tell you what, just in case you watch it. I don't
Yeah,
want to
no,
give
I'll
anything
watch
away.
it. Yeah.
But it's don't expect the same story. It's a whole different. It's a different vibe. I really like it. And I like the fact that Anne Rice gave it her seal of approval before she had died. And so yeah, check it out. And
I didn't know there was
we all
13
love the
books
movie.
until I started, listening to the audiobooks. I don't know if I'll maybe someday I'll get through all 13, but I was like, holy shit. I thought there was like 5.
When she starts doing like a whole book of like throwaway characters, so that's a little iffy. I think I got through 7. I think the last one was The Body Thief, which is really good.
Yeah, interview and I don't know. I think the plan for the show is like interview the book will be like the first 2 or possibly 3 seasons, and then they'll go into Lestat. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so, because this one, the
It all
first
depends,
season,
how well it does and everything.
they don't even get to Paris yet.
Interesting.
So yeah,
And there's a lot of story there. You could I would rather they do that than take stuff out and condense something. I'd rather see it spread out.
See, I think that was a problem with the last few seasons of Game of Thrones, where it, instead of kind of expanding things, they just kind of condensed it. And
it
just seems to go by too fast.
Yeah, the first few seasons were like 2 books for one. I mean, 1 book was 2 seasons, and then plus, after a while, they ran out of books because someone never finished his books.
Mr. Martin, get on it.
One time, it was when I was a little heavier, and I posted a thing that I was going to play him in the biopic. I was just being goofy, and he retweeted it, which I don't know if he just thought it was funny or if he thought it was if I was serious. So I don't know.
He's waiting. Now you're gonna have to get a fat suit to do it, though.
These guys are worse than me. Where the hell is this movie? All right, number 4.
My number 4, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, very good. I know that would be on if Annabelle was here and Trista's list.
Oh,
yep,
definitely Trista for sure. Yeah, no, I love this movie. I've seen it quite a few times. It's funny because I didn't like it as much when I was in my younger days, but as an adult, I've come to appreciate it more and more. The only weak aspect of the movie that everybody's said it already, it's Keanu, but Gary Oldman is great. Anthony Hopkins is great. The visuals are just amazing. The effects
visuals
are great. Wow. And the score, that's another movie that the score gets stuck in my head frequently, just at random. I can just think of a couple of notes and all of a sudden it'll just be going in my head like a record player.
I hate to say this, I'm not a big fan of the movie. I've tried to watch it many times. There's elements I think are great. I agree with Oldman is great in it. I love the shadows when when he's old vampire at the beginning.
I love that part when he's the old vampire at the beginning. I really did.
Keanu definitely. It's such a huge contrast in acting with him and Oldman in those scenes because it's like, what? Yeah, he was miscast in that. But there's a lot of cool things that do work in the movie for me. Even just kind of the old elements of filmmaking. There's a lot of dissolves and things, which I think is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Annabelle here in the chat says, I like it less now, to be honest, than as a kid. Gary Oldman totally carries the movie. Even Hopkins is a little goofy.
Can be. It's a movie that I've definitely heard a lot of positive, but I've definitely heard some of the negative as well. So it's not one that I'm up in arms like.
It's a polarizing one.
She says the score is amazing and it's so gorgeous, so that there's nothing else like it. All right, 100%. Number 4 has been mentioned now by everyone. Interview with a Vampire.
Nice. All right.
Official.
Yep.
It is now officially.
It gets the stamp of.
Yeah. So that and Dracula, I believe, has been mentioned by everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I don't know if anything else. Maybe Martin. I don't know. Number 4 for Troy.
Number 4 for me is one that even gets more flack than the Gary Oldman Dracula is the Frank Langella Dracula.
Ooh, that
which
is
is
a
a
good one.
love or hate movie, I think, because I just love it. I like everything about it. I think Frank Langella is just perfect as Dracula.
John Williams score too.
Yep, yep. And who's Van Helsing in that? That's
Laurence Olivier.
yeah, Olivier.
Oh, wow.
Yep, yep. And just I don't know. There's just I feel the romance in this one. This is the
Oh,
one
for
that
sure.
like really moves me. I mean, it definitely has that little bit of late 70s, early 80s, maybe a little overuse of the fog machine and, you know, hair blowing in the wind tunnel a little too much, but I don't know. I just love the movie. I can't get enough of it.
Annabelle
good.
says I've
That's
never
my
seen.
third Dracula.
She saw not seen the Frank Langella one. I have not either. And Troy has been trying to get me
It's
to
my
watch
personal
this
favorite.
for decades. I should definitely watch this.
You should.
I
Definitely.
actually saw an interview with him not that long ago. Where
But
he
Neal
talked
will
about
never
it.
watch a movie that I recommend. Only if just a stranger on the street, if he goes and like rides the T and a bum says, "Hey, you should watch a Frank Langella Dracula." He's like, "Well, you know, man, I'll do that. Can I buy some crack?" Like, yeah, okay.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he mentioned this because it wasn't in a play. He was actually in the play version,
Yeah.
and that's how the movie came out.
Mhm.
Yeah, he started out on Broadway as Dracula in the play. And I
Yeah,
think
and
he
that-
was the only one that moved from Broadway to the big screen on it.
Oh,
In
there
that
was
same-
also Lugosi though.
Right. But
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
from that production of it,
Oh,
from
I see.
Oh, okay.
like the 78 production or whenever it was.
Annabelle says she'll watch it, so I'll watch it too. Maybe we'll do a review of it at some.
All right.
The
Now
And that
watch, I'll
same
go
inter-
back and rewatch it and I'll hate it. And I'll be like, well, fuck that movie. And you guys will be like, you're right. It was a great movie. No, it sucks. I hated it. I just watched it.
the just real quick to go down a different route was about Frank Langella in that same interview. When they asked him like his favorite role, he actually said it was Skeletor. And the reason,
No way.
the reason
That's
is
tremendous.
it was his kid's favorite like toy, and so it was very personal to him
Oh.
to play it. And so I was like,
Oh, that's
cool.
great.
That's
Because sometimes
awesome.
people think, why is so and so in this movie or whatever? They just need the money or something. But he took it because it was his kid's favorite.
Awesome. Well, big thumbs up to Frank Langella. Then.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Annabelle says, I'm not sure I didn't think of interview. Did not include Dracula, but did include House of Dracula.
Oh. All right. So she
have
had
to
one
watch
Hammer
that.
one in there.
All right. Now we're
Number
what?
3.
The
Oh,
top
man.
3.
So, in spite of what you said, 3 is achieved for me because it's the Salem's Lot miniseries.
I'm
from
totally fine.
1979.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a
That's-
huge fan
yeah.
of the movie. So
Oh,
Yeah.
me too. Me too.
I love that movie. It's I watch it every October. It's mandatory. It's mandatory
Yeah.
movie that I
Some of those scenes just still spook me out. Like the kid
Mhm.
at the window just totally
I
creep me out.
agree.
oh yeah, and it's and so I will say this: it's my favorite Stephen King book that
Yeah,
I've
it's a
read.
great book.
But
Yeah.
I agree. But I think a lot of the changes in the miniseries, hells yeah,
Yeah.
This is very heavy.
it's But there's a lot of the changes in the miniseries that I actually agree did make things. It's an interesting mixture because there's some things that they change from book to screen that I like better in the miniseries, but then there's those changes
Yep.
where I love it, but I'm also okay with how they did it in the book. It's kind of like there's the ones that I
So
think
you like
okay,
it
this one's
both ways.
better.
Yeah.
This one's better. This one works here, and this one works here. And the biggest thing that I think works the best for me is Kurt Barlow's design. Because the
Yeah,
fact that they
I think it's one of the best looking vampires.
Spooky as hell. Oh my God.
oh yeah. And it's also just because he doesn't appear that much in the book or in the miniseries to make him almost a Lugosi-esque or even a Frank Langella-esque vampire. Or actually, 1975 is when the book was written, so it would be before Langella. So a Lugosi-esque Dracula character, but he's not in it very much, and he doesn't even have any lines that really have any weight or anything that sticks with you as much as Dracula in the original novel,
Right.
Dracula. And so it's like, I feel like making him, just straight up monstrous works better for the 1979 miniseries, especially in that regard.
And you have James Mason as his
Mhm.
henchman guy, and he's so good.
David
Yeah,
Soul.
I honestly think it's one of the creepiest vampires ever in anything.
Mhm.
And I'd mentioned earlier, Martin, Farmer Vincent, and the kids at the window were three things that really captured my imagination as a kid when I was looking through Troy's old monster magazines.
And that's still the scene Alice Cooper says, the scariest scene he's ever
Mhm.
seen, like on, any movie, which I think is pretty neat.
I think it's one of King's best books too. I think
Mhm.
because I've really been flying through King books over the last few years, so I've been reading them all together. And I think King really excels when he takes something, a basic idea, or even kind of a goofy idea in some of them, and does something completely not necessarily even new with it. But so it's just your typical vampire story, Salem's Lot. It's almost just Dracula. It's a very typical, I would say, kind of a typical vampire story. So it feels like comforting in its own way, but it's elevated. It's written by a great storyteller in a very adult way. So it takes something that could be like in a comic book, almost like a comic book version of vampire, but it's elevated, and it's just a great story. It is. It's one of my favorite King books.
And I
Love
will
it too.
say, I'm glad that in the miniseries they omit the origin for the name Salem's Lot, or I'm sorry, Jerusalem's Lot in the book.
Oh,
It's kind of a goofy origin in the book. Tragic but goofy at the same time.
yep.
I believe Falmouth is actually even mentioned in the book, and that, for anyone who cares or knows, but that's where where my hospital was when I had my operation. So
Nice.
that's always for anyone in New England when names of local places pop up in both the King, or maybe all three. I've not read the third King, but
Owen King, yeah.
And it's not always just a typical place. Of course, Boston can pop up in places, but it's cool when like these other local places pop up in these books.
Oh, definitely.
All right. That was number 3, right?
Number
Yes,
3.
sir.
All right. My number 3, I don't believe it's been mentioned yet. I assume other people have on the list, but maybe not. And that is Fright Nights.
Mhm.
I love everything about Fright Night. I think it works on every level. It's great performances. It's fun, but there's also a lot of seriousness. So I think when you're a kid, you can watch it and you just like the vampire stuff, and it's a fun movie. I think when you get older, you see a lot more into the movie. I know when we saw it recently at the Halloween marathon, I was like, this is a really smart movie because there's a lot of temptation in the movie. So the vampire in it, Chris Sarandon, I like that. So the younger girls, like Amanda Barris's character, her boyfriend is still kind of a boy. So then you've got the adult character, which is seducing her on a certain level. And then you've got the evil Ed character who's bullied and made fun of, and he's seduced in his own way by the Sarandon character. Like, hey, there's a great scene when he gives him his hand. He's like, I know how you felt. And so all these things, it's like, does he really feel for these characters, or is he just seducing them? And I think the answer is he really is just seducing them, because you see at the end of the movie, he really doesn't care about the Amanda Barris character. Even
about any of them.
Yeah, because he's just going to leave her alone with William Ragsdale to one of them's going to kill each other, whatever. Even though part of it, like, he was like really infatuated with her, but and then the Roddy McDowall character is fantastic, and I think it's really ahead of its time. I think Scream gets all the credit for being like meta and talking about the rules in their movie. And the first Scream is very cool and talk about the rules of slasher, but I think Fright Night really did that before that.
Oh,
We're
hell
talking
yeah.
about the rules of vampire films within a vampire film. And it's one of the first things I can remember where the characters are in a movie and they don't act like they have no idea what a vampire is or any of this stuff. Like they know what vampires are. And then, they start doing that later on in zombie stuff. Everyone just knows that a zombie, you have to kill the brain. So they know all the rules of the vampire within the vampire film. And it works. Like The Thing, I love The Thing for all the monsters when I'm a kid. Then when I'm older, I see a lot more in the movie. And Fright Night is the same way. As I get older, there's a lot more to the movie than just the cool vampire and a lot of good funny jokes.
Yeah, that was originally on my list, but it got bumped off by another 100-year-old classic. So
Oh, that one might be higher on my list.
we shall see.
But yeah, Fright Night I love, and I even have a real soft spot. I love the remake. I think they did a great job with it.
I like it too. I think it's
solid.
everything they changed works for the modern day, because there wasn't the Roddy McDowall character like of today.
Yeah,
No,
there isn't
definitely
like a
not.
Sven Gooley or something on TV
Right.
that everybody knows.
Actually, I guess today it would actually, if they did it right now, it would work a little more like if you could get Joe Bob Briggs. Or
Oh
something.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
But at that time, there really wasn't somebody like that, so
Yep.
that worked. And honestly, that the scene where he really does deduce the Amanda Barris character, that's a really sexy scene, and it's pretty sexy for like it kind of seems almost like a teenage movie, but that seems it's pretty sexy, very suggestive. All right, you're number 3.
My number 3's been mentioned by both of you crazy bastards, and that's Martin.
Yes.
And I could say nothing more about it. I just love that movie so much.
Yeah, huge fan. I'm glad it made all of our lists. I thought
1,
maybe
2, and 3 went up and down my list several times. Martin
thought
could have
maybe
been my number 1 tomorrow.
I thought I might be the one with Martin on my list, and I'm the one with it lowest on or highest on the list. So I'm glad that Annabelle was Monster Squad before that. That's interesting because Monster Squad, specifically, it's about the Universal monsters, but probably I think honestly around the same era, because I remember seeing Monster
I'd
Squad
say so, yeah.
with my friend Paul and Jennifer. And then Fright Night, it's just a little quick story. I went to see that. Troy and his girlfriend at the time took me and my friend Paul, and Paul was not allowed to see R-rated movies. So on the ride home, I had to tell Paul the whole story of, I think it was either the Dark Crystal or the Black Cauldron.
The one with the Antler King. The Black Cauldron.
So I had to tell him the whole movie, because not only was he not allowed to see him, they would quiz him when he got home. So he had to know all about
that's
the movie.
hardcore.
Yeah. So I had to tell him so that he went to see Fright Night with.
That's fucking great.
All right. Oh yeah, Elvira. Annabelle.
Oh,
says
yeah,
another big
okay.
horror
Yeah.
host. That would be a good
Yep.
person too for the Roddy McDowall character.
But I think with David Tennant doing the,
Yeah, no, I think at that time,
as
it
the
fit
magician guy, like, was pretty cool.
because neither Elvira, like, I mean, everyone will always like her, but she wasn't on TV at that time. I think it was just an interesting take, and it was a more relevant type of character for that era when that movie was made. And they also did a really different take with the vampire in that one. He was just much more, not so much
He was
seductive.
more manly. He was just like the macho vampire.
All right. And I think when you do a remake, you should do something different, not just like redo the same.
I think that's what I liked about this one, is that it was totally different from the original.
All right. Now we're
And you
to
had
the top.
McLovin as Evil Ed in that one.
Yeah, he was good. Also, the whole cast is very nice. I did a panel with them, was very cool, and Annabelle and I So at Mad Monster Seattle, they put us in between our booth, the Without Your Head booth. We're in between Fright Night, the cast of Fright Night, and the cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show, which sounds awesome. And it is, because you could talk to you. But when people are there, what does that mean? It means people are going over here, and you're stuck in the middle, and no one gives a shit about you.
You can hold my bag while I'm getting this autograph.
Yeah, you probably make conversation with people in line to see it, and they're like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm just in line to see this guy.
Yep. Like, dude, it's Chris Sarandon. Holy shit.
All right. Number 2.
My number 2 has been mentioned by Troy. Horror of Dracula.
Nice. Excellent choice.
Yeah, not much more I can add to that one. It's just a great classic Hammer horror vampire movie, beautifully shot, great sets, great score, great cast, it's yeah.
I even loved like Cushing's little side trips in between in that one and stuff when he goes to like the little German bar and stuff. And just really good stuff. And I think that's the one where I don't know what the hell they did. It must be some kind of contact that they did on Lee where his eyes were just totally bloodshot.
Oh yeah.
It's just the craziest look.
I think they did that in all of them. And
maybe they did. Maybe they kept that.
And Lee hated it, but he would do it. It's like,
yeah.
He even hated playing Dracula after a while, but he still did it.
Yep. He's like, I'm 50 years old. I shouldn't be Dracula anymore. And then, he ends up being 90 something, I think. Then he could be Saruman, and that was all good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing to think of all like the iconic characters he played over many different decades.
Oh yeah,
he gave every single one his all.
Yep. Yeah, he was always tremendous. And then like just being a guy that had done everything. I just love in one interview he was talking about when he was in Lord of the Rings and Wormtongue stabs him up on the top of the tower, and he's telling Peter Jackson, no, that's not how the sound makes. If you stab someone in the back, it's more of a sucking pull sound. It's like, I don't even want to know how you know that, Christopher, but that's fine. We'll go with that. You tell us the sound or we'll use that sound.
All right. My number 2's not been mentioned.
Oh boy.
Maybe
might be my number 2.
Maybe. Let the Right One In.
Also my number 2.
Oh, excellent. One of my favorite movies. I actually saw the remake first, which I don't dislike the remake, but I don't know if I'd have a different thought on the remake if I'd saw it second, only because they actually do some of the same shots. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if I would have seen it second if like, oh, that's kind of cheating. But either way, I do think the remake is a good movie.
Both versions are good for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I love I don't think the remake captured how dark the female character is, or the child vampire character. It's also in the book. And I really like that. It's really, when I watch it, she's really the villain of the movie, where for a lot of the part of the movie, you're sympathetic and you think maybe she's in love with the younger kid, but the older character really represents what is in store for the young kid, and how sad, it's just a really sad story, because that guy gave his entire life for her. He gave up, having a regular life to watch her. And he thought he was doing that because, they were in love. And you really just kind of see she just used him because she had to have, the Renfield type character to watch over her. And now the young boy is the replacement. And so that he's doomed for just a lifetime.
It's so tragic on so many levels, that movie. Yeah.
So I love all that in the movie. It's just a great movie. It's shot really well. There's a lot of really creepy scenes, and yeah, let's write one in. Amazing movie.
Yeah, that's one of those movies I don't think I'd change a thing. I just love
Oh,
everything about that. And like you say, the remake is, it's pretty much the same movie.
Yeah,
you know,
they it's an English version of the first movie.
yeah.
English
So
is the
anybody that
language.
hasn't seen it, like, watch it. It's just so good.
And oddly
Yep.
enough, the remake is a Hammer horror film as well.
Oh, that's right.
is
Dylan,
it?
yeah. Do they
Yeah.
still make
I
movies?
didn't even realize that.
The last thing they did was The Lodge. I think.
Okay, so
Oh,
that
was
wasn't
it?
that long ago.
Maybe there was
Okay,
more
yeah.
after that, but that's the last one I can think of in my head.
All right. So we know what
Good
number
to see
2
a
is
little
for
resurgence.
Troy.
Yep. Numero Unsville.
So number 1. Justin.
Let's see. What is my number one? I wonder if there's anything that's giving it away in the immediate area. Oh,
Hmm.
of course, it's the Bela Lugosi Dracula. Yeah, no,
Also, stamp of all of us.
it's I love it. I think that was the third Universal Monster movie I saw growing up. I saw it on Turner Classic Movies, and yeah, it's honestly gotten better each time I've seen it. I just, I think we've said, about as much as we can say about it. Bela Lugosi's great, the cinematography, the sets, the atmosphere. It's one of the few where I
Crazy.
can't say anything about the score because it only has an opening theme and no soundtrack.
Oh,
unless
yeah.
you count the Philip Glass score, which I think is good if they found the right moments to stop playing it, because they actually just play it throughout the whole movie in that version. It's a whole separate version that they did in 1999 to give the movie a score, and it literally just plays throughout the movie with no break, as if it's a silent film but with dialogue. So yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen that version.
it's, if you have it on DVD or Blu-ray, it comes with almost every release of it. It's interesting to watch once, but I guarantee you probably won't watch it that way again.
You get tired of it after one viewing.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, that's my favorite vampire movie. I love it.
Yeah, how can you go wrong with that?
No, that's a great choice. Obviously, the one to really, well, I can't one to start off, but I think it's the first American big vampire movie. And
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I was just reading the chat here. Annabelle says, in Lee's second appearance, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, he never says a word at all. According to Lee himself, there's a simple reason for this lack of dialogue. I read the script and the lines were literally unsayable. So he said, I'm sorry, I'm not saying these lines. You'll get a terrific laugh, which I'm quite convinced we would have done.
huh?
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and that's probably the one where he's the most almost like just this venomous carnivorous creature in Prince of Darkness.
Oh yeah.
He's just vicious.
So just post it if anyone wants to zoom in, because we're getting down here and want to tell us theirs. We have some in the chat I'll read, and on the Facebook page. And so say something while I'm doing this.
Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh.
All right. You can either tell us your favorites or yell at us. Say, what the hell you got that on your list?
Yeah, what were you thinking?
Exactly. All right. So
as far as a classic on the big screen. Oh, are you done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was making small talk.
Oh yeah, you can say your classic on the big screen before I say my number one.
All right. Last week we went and saw one of my all-time favorite movies on the big screen. I think it was a Fathom event, like one night showing, and that was Casablanca. And I had never seen it so crystal clear, and I had forgotten how much I love the movie.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's just everything about it. Bogart, like, I don't think he gets enough credit for just being one of the all-time great actors. He's just so perfect in it. And then when you get like Claude Rains is so good in it, and the little Peter Lorre, little bits of him in it. Just even Sidney Greenstreet making the guest appearance in there.
Yeah, I highly recommend seeing even if it's a movie you've seen a bunch of times, it's a different experience when you see it on the big screen.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Not only is it's I think some people fixate on the big image, which that's a huge part, but you're also surrounded by the sound, which is a completely different feel.
It's such a nice feeling with like the sound all around and stuff. And
And
the only thing is, if you have a comfy recliner chair, don't get a gallon-sized large drink, because once you try to pull it out of the cup holder, you're gonna spill it on the floor. That's what I found.
I thought you were gonna say you peed your pants.
Well, yeah, that had I drank this thing, I might have. But
Oh, good.
We went to see a very different film with our mom yesterday, Creed 3, which we really liked, but not
It was really
necessarily.
good.
I liked it a ton. Jonathan Majors, he's been my go-to guy. I love this guy.
Yeah, I had not seen the I only saw the first episode of the Lovecraft Country, so I didn't really know this guy, but he was great as Kang.
Yeah,
which I thought was a great movie, and I'm not necessarily loving a lot of the recent Marvel movies, but I don't really understand the hate for Ant-Man 3, because I thought it was
I don't
the best
either.
of like the Phase 4, whatever it is.
I loved it too, and I thought he was perfect, and he's perfect in this movie too. A totally different character.
All right, my number one was mentioned, and that is Nosferatu.
Nice.
My favorite. I love the remake too, but I have the original Nosferatu. The image of Nosferatu. I think it's the scariest looking vampire. It's still creepy looking.
Oh, for sure.
Holds up. It spawned one of my other movies on the list, Shadow of the Vampire. I mean, why that movie works is because Max Schreck looks so creepy in the original movie. If he didn't, Shadow of the Vampire would probably not even been thought of. So
Creepy AF. That one.
Yeah, just I love it. I love everything about it. Nosferatu. He's my favorite version of the Dracula character in all the movies. I know he's not necessarily Dracula, but he is Dracula. So yeah, Nosferatu.
You can't go wrong there. And all right, and to round us out, also one that's been mentioned, I believe it was your number 3, Mr. Neal, and it's Fright Night, which is one of those movies I can watch over and over and over again and enjoy it every single time. You're so cool, Brewster. Just the best.
Yeah, I agree. Fright Night, for real.
Who's it gonna be tonight? Was it Jay Giles band did the theme song?
No, I didn't actually. I knew the song, but I didn't know who did it. Let's see. Nicholas Hatch says 1960s Dark Shadows, Barnabas Collins.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a great choice.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I know. Trying to scroll up here. Real Badger, Near Dark, we mentioned. Fearless Vampire Killers, we mentioned. Also To Sleep with a Vampire with Charlie Sprading. I'm not familiar with this movie.
I've never heard of that one either.
Nicholas says Interview with the Vampire was a funny piece of stinking awful. Well, that's not very nice.
Damn.
But hey, everyone has their own opinion. John Carpenter's 1998 Vampires, which I actually do have in my honorable mention. Nicholas Hatch. I'm a big fan of that movie as well. I think it's underrated vampire movie. And Vampire in Brooklyn. Interesting, Nicholas. And the Spanish version of the third. This came up in an interview I did the other day. I had never seen this, but I've been hearing people talking about it.
Oh, the Spanish language Dracula?
Yeah.
It's good. It's really well done.
I guess it was
technically
filmed
very
like
good.
at the same time.
Yeah. Using the same sets at night with an all Mexican and Spanish cast and crew. American director though.
So I don't know if I think we lost Troy here.
Yeah,
He just have enough of us. He's like, I'm out of here.
he's like, I said my number one. Bye.
Barbie Wild, the horror of Dracula with Cushing and Lee. And Only Lovers Left Alive.
Classic.
Annabelle has her list. She had films a lot. House of Dark Shadows, Horror of Dracula. Some ones we didn't mention: The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Another Hammer film, and it's a collab with the Shaw brothers.
Interesting.
So horror and kung fu.
I've not seen this.
It's fun.
Like I said, I need to catch up on my Hammer horror films.
And maybe some Shaw brothers while you're at it.
Yes. Vampire's Kiss.
Classic. Classic Nicolas Cage.
I'm a fan of Nick. Perhaps in the near future, Nicolas Cage will win us over with Renfield, and this will be added to our vampire list in the future.
We can hope.
Yes. I saw the long version trailer at the theater for the first time last weekend.
How was
I
that?
didn't know someone I had on the shows in the movie from their first Terrifier.
Huh.
Countess Dracula. And this is nice. She included a couple shorts. Son of Nosferatu with Tim Dry, which is really good, really fun, and Good Taste. Oh yeah, we saw that at Renegade Film Festival. Troy is back. All right,
I'm back in town.
Any honorable mentions that's not been listed? I have a bunch that's been mentioned, but I have a few that has not been mentioned.
Mine's a mixture. I'm sorry, go ahead, Troy.
No, I'm just going. Let me check off mine that haven't been listed.
Vampires.
Ahead,
Nicholas Hatch. No, we didn't mention vampires, but it was Nicholas Hatch mentioned it. That's one of mine.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
That's of Life Force.
Oh,
Shit.
yeah.
That's another one. Why didn't I think of that one? That's a great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Life Force.
So you know what? That's added to honorable mentions now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That and Fright Night. Both those made honorable mentions. So yeah, Fright Night, Life Force, The Hunger.
The Hunger, that's on my honorable too. Yeah.
Kronos.
Same here. Was that Guillermo's first one?
That was.
Yep.
And I actually, for my birthday one year, I got to see that at the New Bev for the first time. They were showing it. The double feature was that and his second feature, Mimic.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Which
I love that movie.
I do too. It's a guilty pleasure for me. I can see it's not good, but it's kind of one of those things that if you look at it for what it is, just a cliched 90s action sci-fi movie, then it works. It gets the job done. Let the Right One In. Blood for Dracula, aka Andy Warhol's Dracula, with
that's a crazy one.
With Udo Kier, yeah. And Shadow of the Vampire.
Yep, I had that one on my honorable too.
So I also have honorable. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Last Man on Earth, Vincent Price.
That's on mine too. Yep.
Yeah, another one I forgot about.
And I had Omega Man, but honestly, in Omega Man, they're not really vampires.
No, not
yeah, more mutants, I guess. Yeah, let me see. I had The Hunger. Love at First Bite. I actually really get a kick out of that movie, and Artie Johnson does the best Renfield in that movie. It's worth watching just to see Artie Johnson.
The best is better than the original Renfield.
Well, he does the best impression of the original.
Oh,
Renfield.
I see.
I do have the VHS, so I'll have to watch it one of these days.
And the Night Stalker, the TV movie, which spawned Kolchak, the Night Stalker. But the
Mm.
standalone movie is actually a lot of fun. I haven't seen it in years, to be honest. A 12-year-old Troy really loved it. I don't know if a 55-year-old Troy will love it, but I did love it at the time. And Vampire Hunter D, the only animated movie
Oh,
that I
really?
could think of.
Still need to see that one in its entirety.
It's a pretty good one. It's not great, but it's a lot of fun.
I said Vamp on my list, which is really fun. I watched it recently when I had Dee Pfeiffer on the show.
Okay.
It's a really fun interview. Cheap plug, go listen to that. But no, it's fun. Robert Russler and Grace Jones is a very cool vampire in it. And she's kind of doing her Christopher Lee because she has no lines by choice. She said that it would be creepier if she doesn't talk. But it wasn't like she said these lines are bad. Or maybe she just didn't want to memorize lines and she came up with an excuse. Hey, it'd be creepier if it just doesn't talk. But yeah, those are a good lists. So we'll recap our list. Go from 13 down, Justin. Just go over your list.
Oh shit. Now I gotta dig it up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. Let's see. So 13 was Nosferatu 1922. 12 was Interview with the Vampire. 11 was Only Lovers Left Alive. 10 was Fearless Vampire Killers. 9 was Nosferatu the Vampire. 8 was Near Dark. 7 was Martin. 6 was From Dusk Till Dawn. 5 was Lost Boys. 4 was Bram Stoker's Dracula. 3 was Salem's Lot. 2 was Horror of Dracula, and 1 was Dracula 1931. And I'll just keep a list there in case it's needed again.
I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. Just
so I had 13 was Bliss, 12 Blackula, 11 Martin, 10 30 Days of Night, 9 Shadow of the Vampire, 8 Dusk Till Dawn, 7 What We Do in the Shadows, 6 The Lost Boys, 5 Dracula, 4 Interview with the Vampire, 3 Fright Night, 2 Let the Right One In, and number 1 Nosferatu.
My 13 was Dracula with Lugosi. 12 was Daybreakers. 11 30 Days a Night. 10 Blade. 9 Near Dark. 8 Innocent Blood. 7 The Horror of Dracula. 6 was Thirst. 5 Interview with the Vampire. 4 was Dracula with Frank Langella. 3 was Martin. 2 was Let the Right One In, and my number 1 was Fright Night.
I am sorry. Nicholas says the fella in Interview with the Vampire called Brad Pitt's character a piece of stinking awful in the bar scene. I wouldn't disrespect anyone on here. I'm sorry, Nicholas. I misread your comment. But that made me laugh either way. So
we've had quite a few laughs today.
Yeah,
we have.
As if we never have, but today in particular, with all the tangents and
and welcome back to Nicholas Vince. Nicholas Vince. Well, Nicholas Vince too. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
But we're good. It's nice to see Nicholas Hatch back in the group. We like Nick.
Yep, without a doubt.
And I understand he'll be not to put him on the spot, but he'll be returning to Severed Limbs. Severed Limbs the 13th, which is
too cool.
Our number 13 Severed Limbs, which is coming up in a couple months.
Well, I love the horror Friday the 13th making
it will. I was actually thinking of having it finished and play it at Severed Limbs the 13th, which I thought would actually be kind of cool. As long as it's not too long, but
well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And in honor of that, we should do I don't know, think of some kind of 13 to go along with that.
Interesting, because we can't do the top Friday the 13th movies.
No.
The 13 top Friday. Yeah, we just list them all. Yeah.
I don't think any of them made my list. So.
And not to mention, there's not even 13 of them yet.
Right. Yeah. You have to start putting fan films in them.
Yeah. This one comes in at number 1 by default. Didn't like it, but hey,
But yeah, we'll have to think of some type of 13 for the 13th. That's a good
yeah.
idea. The 13th. So we'll, if anyone has any ideas, send them in.
Yeah, shoot them our way.
Yeah. So
What haven't we done? Because we've done werewolves, we've done vampires.
There was the talk
The
of
undead?
Stephen King adaptations.
Ooh,
yeah, I
that would be
wanted to
fun.
do sometime a whole month of try to get guests from Stephen King adaptations.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be
Stephen
awesome.
King on the screen.
I've had my list ready to
and
go
silver.
for that for a while.
Oh, all right, very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
Justin is always ready. Yeah.
I had
Yep.
that and the vampire one around the same time because it was like, we're gonna do the Stephen King one. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I will be honest. This last year has been as crazy for me with the movies and the festivals. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
takes me away from the show and things like that.
You're all
And me
good.
too. I've been working different hours, and it's just tough to try to get back onto the show.
Annabelle suggested a 13 villains.
Ooh, wait, didn't we do that?
I think we
We
may
may
have.
have.
Or did we do 13 slashers?
We did 13. We did 13 villains
We did.
I think we did. I think we did.
because I remember we all had the blind man from the Don't Breathe. on
Oh
our
yeah,
list.
that's right. That's right.
What was it? I think that might have been a 13 we did for the decade.
Might have. Yeah, you're right.
Hmm.
So
It
we
wasn't
haven't
for
exactly.
all time. It was when we did a bunch of if people don't know, we did a bunch of when it was the new decade.
Yeah,
we did
Oh, okay.
over the last decade.
and I remember that was one of the hardest lists I ever had to do.
Yeah. It
Oh,
was,
hell yeah. Yep.
But villains is good. We'll
I like
think
it
about
though
this.
when you guys make me work, it's
Exactly.
like, oh shit. Like, I don't know if I know 13 like home invasion movies.
Right.
But 13 villains of all time might be easy.
Yeah,
It might
that probably would be. Yeah. And a lot of fun too.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So upcoming, it'll be the three of us and possibly Treacherous Trista. Another teen named Tara Hutchinson will be joining us on for one of these. Running out of cool T words, so she'll have to think of something. Maybe Annabelle will jump on for one of the 13th. We'll see.
Yep. All of our gang is welcome. You know this.
Exactly.
yes.
Or you can just zoom in and
Bring 'em
tell
on.
us something.
Yep.
All right. So as Justin said, he's got the series coming up.
Definitely
Yes,
looking
sir.
forward to that.
Thank you guys. Thank you. And hope
I
you're
can never
enjoying-
get enough stuff from you, Justin. You can just crank stuff out. We'll watch it.
This will be an interesting one because it'll be my stuff as well as a few others.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's an anthology series where we have different directors doing episodes. I direct 3 of them, 3 others have directed their own, so that makes up the 6.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this.
Yep.
But definitely, I think you guys will dig it, and I can't wait to show it to y'all. I mean, you've seen the pilot episode so far, so
What's the Mars Attacks behind you? Is that a poster? I actually thought it was a board game for a second. Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's a tin of the trading cards.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
A buddy of mine who directed one of the Dark Signals episodes, he got me this as a Christmas present years ago. And so
Oh, that's awesome. Was that like a Dark Horse thing?
Tops. Actually,
Tops. Oh, okay.
as you said that, I looked over at it and it said Tops in the corner. Yeah, it's
And
of
signs
course.
are the best.
Yeah.
oh definitely.
And
I got one of King Kong right behind the computer monitor here, actually.
And Annabelle wants to know, where will that be found again? It'll be on your YouTube, I believe.
Yes, sir. On my YouTube, and follow me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. You'll also have information on where to see that as well on there. And yeah, I think that's all I can think of as far as places where
And what's your YouTube's name again?
it's Slasher Films, but you can especially find it as JHead SF06. Supposedly they gave me the domain name Slasher Films, so I got to see if that actually comes up with anything.
For the YouTube?
Yeah, they did a thing where I guess they just took if
Yeah,
you're I'm sorry.
I was just saying, yeah, they gave you like handles on YouTube recently.
Yeah.
Where you like do the at.
Yeah, so that might be. I gotta see if that's how I can find the channel now, and if that's the case, then I can just tell people that's how you find it. Be a lot easier than saying Jhead SF06 and hoping somebody remembers it.
I remember our very first show on when our first podcast on In Your Head, 2005, and we were giving out the URL, and it was either John or I did the show as me, John, and Barbie Richards, and one of them gave out the URL, and they were like HTTP : /
Easy to remember.
Yes.
It's and it's funny that you say 2005, just because that's around the time that I made my first film under Slasher Films.
Oh, really?
When I was 15.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's in about 3 years it'll be 20 years old.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about it.
It is. My baby's growing up.
Yep.
All right. Anything else before we get to the music to play us out here?
Think if anything else going on in the world.
Well, you can hit like on here, subscribe. Also, hit that bell icon so you get notification every time we go live, every time I upload a new show. Join us on Facebook. The group is we're all everywhere. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, but the group is where the most activity is, the Facebook group. So I would go and join there. Follow us on Spotify. I'll be honest, I get the best ad sales on Spotify. So follow us on Spotify.
Nice.
And it's on video on there too.
The Last of Us just had the final episode over the weekend. I don't know if you guys had watched.
I have not. I've heard nothing but good things. I don't think
I really dug it.
Things I haven't seen any like hate for, which is very odd.
Yeah, that's true. Give it time. Somebody will hate on something, I'm sure. But Pedro Pascal, he's great in it. And I had never played the video game, The Last of Us, about fungus zombies.
Yeah, I haven't really played a video game since like Big Doug. No. Yeah, but
that's the next one coming out.
But I have I've heard people loving this, and so I need to check this out. Usually video game inspired movies or shows aren't the best, but
are crap usually. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
but this one's the exception. Like, and maybe it's because I never played the video game. And so going in, I didn't even know it was a video game, and I didn't expect the fungus zombies, and they're really pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, Zamble says based on the real fungus that attaches to insects. I think we even might have talked about that years ago on the show.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat because they give you, I'm not going to tell you guys too much about it in case you're watching it, but they even give like kind of a 1970s talk show when a scientist is talking like, well, we're all set right now because like mammals, their body temperature is too high for like this fungus to take over, but we won't have to worry unless like the temperature of the earth like increases, and then we might have a problem. Like,
interesting. The girl with all the gifts also dealt with fungus in zombies, but I think
I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I mentioned this on Facebook, and someone was like, well, that was written way after, or they didn't say written, they said the movie was way after this was a game. So I looked it up, and actually the book and the video game came out the same year.
Oh, so did they?
Maybe it was the same year that people started talking about the fungus and the insects, and they were both kind of inspired by the same story.
Yeah, it could be.
So I don't think either one was like, got the idea from the other.
Yeah, somebody, they probably had like a Nova special on PBS, and, a bunch of people watching and said, that would be kind of cool.
Exactly. So our opening theme, by our friends Tomb of Nick Cage. We love them. Love the theme song. Perhaps you'll be hearing a new theme song. Well, you can also listen to a theme song on Dinner and a Movie. We're going to be filming a new Dinner and a Movie tomorrow for an advanced screening of Dungeons and Dragons and possibly Cocaine Bear as well. And watch Unwelcome. I believe it's on Shudder. It's a great horror movie for St. Patrick's Day. So people out there, you don't have to pretend that you like Leprechaun and try to tell me Leprechaun's a good movie. Here's a new one you can watch for St. Patrick's Day. My friend Robin would be very mad. She loves Leprechaun, but I'll look over that. She's still all right.
Not a horror movie.
Poor Warwick Davis. Like he looks cool, and I like Warwick Davis, but God, those movies suck.
No, but I mean, they canceled the second season of Willow.
Yeah.
So he needs some good news. We got to get him some good work here.
Yeah. So I don't know what we'll eat to review Cocaine Bear.
Big bag of cocaine.
But anyway, so Tomb of Nick Cage does our theme here, does theme on Dinner Movie, and not possibly, a third thing that's coming up. And our music of the month here is the B-Movie Monsters, and they are going to play us out with Salem's Lot, which I thought was fitting.
Ooh, I like.
So that's here we go. And we will be back next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, guys. I had a great time.
I did as well.
Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
Here we go. The B-Movie Monsters. All right. Thanks, everybody.